Hi, I'm Jason Gilbert. I'm a sports practitioner of the World Surfing League. And what I love about working with professional surfers is that I'm always learning from the ones that inspire me, the ones that are healthy, the ones that are functioning at their best. Now, one of these surfers is Billy Kemper. Billy, in this interview, is going to talk us through his journey. He has so much to pass on to us, and to tell you the truth, he's one of the people that I really admire in regards to the degree of knowledge he has in regards to health, and I'm sure that you are going to notice that as well when he talks. He knows his stuff. So here's someone that either I learned a lot of new stuff with, or I was reinforcing a lot of my beliefs, hearing that he's doing the same thing successfully. Okay, Billy's an amazing guy, and I really hope you enjoy this interview. I really enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the other side. Billy, thanks for your time, mate.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure to get to know you and get some work done from you, and just really, most importantly, just chat about feeling good in life.
Yeah, awesome health. That's exactly why I wanted to sit down and have a chat and document a little bit about what we've been talking about, because in reality, there's so many people out there who may feel sick, feel like they're underperforming, feel like they have got more potential than what they're achieving. And a lot of what we're talking about in reality is not rocket science. You know, they're simple tools that everyone can include in their lives, you know. And what I've been impressed about with our chats, mate, is that you are really, I guess, keyed in with what is the latest in biohacking and health and all the rest. How'd that start? Like, take us back to where you first were illuminated and how that happened.
I think for me, it's my life has always been like 100% with whatever I'm doing, and I think for a long time it was partying and just really like not giving a shit about life. I was always pretty. I grew up in Hawaii with an amazing mother, and just being around the ocean, I was taught to, fishing, spearfishing was, even hunting was part of my lifestyle, and eating clean was always kind of there, but it was just a lifestyle. And what I did throughout the year was, I would, partying was just 100%. Everything I did was 100%.
Sure.
And at some point, having created a family, having kids, a wife, that lifestyle it's not sustainable. It's only a matter of time until something goes wrong. And when I made the adjustments to kind of stop anything that was, in the way of having a great life with my family,
Sure.
taking that off the table, I started to gain interest in health. And, training's always been there, but it's always been temporary. Where now, I'm 4 years sober with no alcohol or drugs, and I train every week, every week of the year, where before it'd just be monthly. And that just, it kind of just took me by interest and dove deep into, biohacking, into the health of the body. It's like, really look at us as like, we're athletes, but like, we're not driving a race car. Our body is our race car. And how often are we checking the oil? How often are we putting in good gas? And really, over time you start to feel everything. I've been through quite a bit of injuries, and when you're drinking or partying around that and you're not really looking into what you're feeling your body with, it takes a toll. Your injuries, become years, and it just keeps on like kind of snowballing, and this hurts and that hurts. Where when your nutrition's diet in, your vitamins, your gut health, you create a mental state, and that's like where I call it like the flow zone. It's like, it's not only just in big waves or competing or being in like these wild sessions. It's also just like the internal feeling of like raising my kids and my wife, and surfing, and just living a lifestyle where I'm just revving all day around. It's such a good feeling. It becomes addicting, and it's cool to see. It's cool to see the people around me in my community, and also the other surfers on tour. It's like, health has become really cool recently, and this hasn't been around, in our world for that long.
Totally right. Yeah.
Growing up, the guys I looked up to were rock stars. They were party animal rock stars. Where now the guys I look up to are, they're top end athletes who are like, performing. Look at Kelly, it's like,
Sure.
it's out there
Inspirational.
hanging with the best, hanging out with Jack Robbo, who's early 20s, health nerd, loves it.
Totally onto
And
it.
you got like Kelly, health nerd on, what is he in his 50s now? Like, where's Jack going to be if he maintains that health level?
Sure.
So
Competing till he's 90.
yeah, so fast summary, it's just, my life of living at 100%, going from the partying lifestyle into like health and family. I just went 100% into it. I just kept diving deeper and deeper, and I'm still learning. I'm still adapting. I'm still open to new thoughts. I'm no master at anything I do in life, and that's the thing about me is like I'll learn till I drop, and I think that's the only way to truly progress in life.
It's life, isn't it? Yeah, totally. And mate, that's what I want to ask you. Where did you go to learn? What were the important influences? Were they books, podcasts? Did you go to seminars?
I mean, really for me with health and fitness, Kahea Hart really introduced that more than anyone. It was training, and he was always on it with me with nutrition and diet. And I was a bigger kid when I was younger. It was hard for me to, stay lean, and said to watch what I ate. And he was always motivating me to eat clean, plants and animals, and yeah, just kind of all guided me into that direction.
Sure.
And over time, I started eating, dairy free, gluten free, and just everything being clean. Everything, became as clean as I can get.
Sure.
Really. Obviously, when you're traveling in certain places, you eat what you got to eat. But for my lifestyle here at home, it's pretty clean around here.
Yeah, and your wife partner,
Yes.
Tahiti, she's also, I see, on board and very conscious.
Yeah,
That must be an enormous help there.
Yeah, what's crazy was like when she came out of high school, she was actually like a nutritional coach at LA Weight Loss, and she had studied it, went to school for it, and then I met her, and she was singing, recording some albums, and then we moved here or she moved out to the North Shore with me, and we had kids, and she kind of found her place back in with fitness, and now it's taken over her life. She's a fitness instructor, personal trainer, and it's really just like it's life for us. It's not a hobby. It's just part of our routine, day to day. It's eat clean, be happy, and move. It's not about how hard you train. Of course, I train hard and I push myself, but it's just about, being active every day,
The
whether it's
basics, yeah.
indoor or outdoor. Just get up
Yeah.
and move, and
Yeah.
that's what's going to keep you moving for longer than you could imagine.
And mate, any other, like, I guess, less common biohacks or strategies that you implement into your life, such as saunas, ice baths, anything else?
I think, speaking from my trainers and coaches' perspective, somebody like Kahea and, the people who have been around me and coached me, I've always been someone they're trying to slow down, like, slow down, like you're going too fast, going too, like, too hard. We need to rest. You need rest days. And I never had rest days. Like, it was just every day I wanted to be better and better. And if I wasn't working, somebody else was. And I think that mentality's right. But, over the last couple of years being dealt with like some like life-threatening injuries
Sure.
where your perspective of like just surfing again is like becoming the goal. And in these situations I've learned that dialing in as far as like, when those things are put into perspective, you your mind really is something that will really like go into a different place, and working on your mindset, and that's something that I found has been very helpful. Understanding the mindset of like accepting your days off and accepting rest, and this is like all aimed back towards sleeping. And Laird Hamilton really was like, he always preached to me like slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Like rest days are more important than work days. And you don't understand that until you've been seriously injured and with your back against the wall. And you understand that like all these small victories are coming from the days you're the most rested. And,
Sure, yeah.
I just highly advise people like really, as much as you train, track and monitor your sleep. Like really invest your time into how much you're sleeping and resting, and, utilizing like, I can't preach more about recovery. Like recovery, recovery, recovery. If you have access to heat and ice contrast, like the benefits I'm getting from that, mixed in with red light therapy, there's so much that goes on just simple effects to your body is heat and ice
incredible,
contrast.
isn't it?
Yeah, and like red light therapy. And the amount of just outlets around the world, whether in Australia, California, Hawaii, there's so many recovery centers. Even I'm traveling in Portugal, France, like there's areas for people to look into it, and you'll never know until you go. So just really adapting to your recovery days is something that I really
Yeah,
can't
it's
preach
so
enough.
important.
Yeah,
I've recently realised that as well, and what a difference it makes.
yeah,
Just give yourself a day off, go for a walk instead of smashing yourself in the gym. Hey, there's days even that you might have to say no to surf. You know, like I use the Aura Ring. I'm not sure what you
yeah,
use, but
exactly.
wake up, my readiness is down. What a difference! I just listen to that now, and not my ego or my willpower. And the next day, I'm going harder.
Yeah, and what I've noticed is my performance levels, like the how much more my body can like handle it, like basically stay at that level throughout a surf session or throughout training. When my days like when I'm feeling it, when I'm watching my sleep, oh, I didn't get that much, like things aren't looking good. I take that day off, reset tomorrow. Like I can see the steps through my performance, and
Sure.
that's what I think matters most. It's like no, I'm not trying to compete in the gym. I'm not trying to sign up for the World Games CrossFit. I'm trying to,
Yeah,
perform in the
exactly,
ocean.
exactly.
And the performance level that you see when those rest days are needed, it's crazy, the level that you can come up on. So
Sure.
it's just really, taking care of your body at the end of the day.
And mate, let's imagine you wake up, you've got, let's say, Jaws is firing, but you get a bad readiness score. What do you do?
That's when I just black out. I
Or
honestly,
actually, do you go to coffee or
I
something
don't
or
I
still?
don't track my sleep when I'm
Sure.
around big
Okay. Fair
waves.
enough.
It's not good. That's why, and that throws me off. I truly believe your mind is the strongest tool in your
For
body,
sure. Yeah.
and it's one thing that I've made it of. Even around competition, I don't track. I track up until about 5 days away, and I just walk away. Yeah, my sleeping is great, and I focused really hard on finding what works for me with vitamin and natural supplements, certain foods, nutrition, and what time you're stopping your absorptions at, and it all it's all adjustable for each person. And I just highly advise people to dig deeper. Try diets. Look into it, whether it's paleo, whether it's keto, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm not against anything. I'm just truly there for people to look into what blood type you are. What things are recommended for you, and when you do all that, you're just creating a monster, a clean monster.
True.
And
Try it
that's,
out.
yeah,
Yeah. Experiment
it's
on yourself.
just never give up on looking into what's good for yourself is kind of what I look at.
Sure.
Yeah.
And mate, okay, back to Jaws. Big day. How much time are you in the water on a typical day when it's firing?
A big day at Jaws, I mean, well, the contest days, I'm out there from sun up to sundown,
Okay.
basically. 3 heats, which are an hour long. Doesn't seem like much when you put that into perspective, but like surfing 3 heats in a day at Sunset Beach, and those are 30-minute heats, you are like, you're gassed. I've surfed 5 heats in a day out at Sunset, and I was like, felt like a marathon. In Jaws, you don't think about it, but the adrenaline in your heart rate at that high level, you can be sitting there on your board, but if you're going over 80-foot walls of water, and for me, it's like win or nothing mindset, there's so much adrenaline, and to control that throughout a long period of time, like there's nothing more draining than a contest day
Okay.
out at Jaws.
And that was my question as well. How much energy do you lose through that adrenaline or through a pretty bad fall or wipeout? Like I imagine that's eating into your energy stores. How does that feel? Like is
I
that notable?
honestly, I think the adrenaline takes more so than the actual beatings.
Sure.
Obviously, that being said, certain beatings are definitely different than others, and I mean with Jaws, it's your life, so that can be much worse on your body than the adrenaline. But that being said, just the level of your heart rate throughout the day out there, it's just going like this, up, 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 up. To maintain that through a long day, you have to kind of run it through as much as you can, which I try to do during free surf days. Like we had a day a few weeks back, December, I think, or early January. Got out there fairly early, right around 7 a.m. Got in the water at 7:30, and I got in the water at like 2 o'clock. And I think I rode 6 or 7 waves that day, which is roughly like a wave an hour kind of, and that's a lot of waves is weird as it sounds, being in the water for that long, and that's a long session.
Sure,
Like
sure.
I was definitely feeling it the next morning. And those are the days where you just feel it. Like, hey, I'm gonna call it. I didn't end up surfing the next day. Rested and yeah, just listen to the body and mind.
And do you notice like a bit of a come down the next day? Is it something you wake up in? Like I've heard a few of the guys that surf bigger waves just say they feel low. Like there's this massive high one day and the next day not. Is that something you can relate to?
For sure, especially with the events, there's so much just so much energy built up behind it, and even the big swells. I mean, for instance, the Eddie Aikau event a couple weeks back, I don't think I left my bed for like 48 hours. Like I'm literally having my wife's bringing me food. Like I just felt like I literally ran a marathon, and I was like everything just was out of service, just
Sure.
like on complete come down. And luckily, for me, celebrating is different nowadays.
Sure,
It's
yeah,
celebrating
true.
with healthy, clean food and a beautiful family.
Sure. 48 hours to recover instead of like
Yeah,
weeks.
it's a different feeling, and it's
Yeah.
the feeling I get after a win now. I've celebrated, I've partied and thrown the biggest parties ever after my wins, and I've also had the best dinners with my friends and family, and woke up the next morning at 6:30 a.m. and came into the gym or did some sauna and ice rounds after winning, and that feeling of putting back into your body the next morning,
Fantastic.
it's
Yeah.
I've told a lot of my friends, I'm like, hey, I don't remember I mean, I remember those wins, but I don't remember the celebration. I remember the feeling of like eating with you guys and waking up the next morning, like
Sharing.
looking in the gym or just like, going into the sauna. It's like, wow, like that's what happened because of this right here, this process. So just trust in the process and never give up.
And mate, those recovery days, have you got any go-tos as far as diet or supplements that help you?
With the supplements, I'm huge with hydration. Like I'm huge with putting in massive amounts of liquid in your body, clean liquid. I really believe in minerals,
So important.
like salt. There's certain things that people have no idea that are that good for them. And yeah, I highly advise if there's one thing, you know, clean meat for sure. I'm somebody who loves meat. My body performs great on it. And just as far as like a recovery supplement, like I can't preach enough about minerals, electrolytes, and hydration. Like you're going to be your biggest one, and just really loading yourself with good food.
Yeah.
That's what that's it's not about a vitamin, it's not about a protein mix, it's not about one supplement. It's truly about like your body is beat up. It's time to replenish. Load it, fill it with liquid, give it some clean, good food, and that's how you recharge.
Yeah, it's incredible. I've just discovered minerals like in the last 2 years as well. And it makes sense. I deal with a lot of people who are hydrated, supposedly,
Yeah,
drinking 3 to 4 liters a day, but they're not retaining any of it.
exactly.
And then with the minerals, you are guaranteeing that you're absorbing the water that you're taking in, but also the minerals help you absorb your other nutrients. So it makes sense that you recover faster.
Yeah, well, so many of these electrolytes that you see now are like they're replacements. They're not enhancing what's in your body and absorbing it. It's just filling it and releasing it. You're peeing 5, 6, 7 times in a couple hours, where you're putting in actual good salt minerals, ocean minerals. Like you can go 4 hours without using the restroom, and that's when your body's absorbing this.
Sure,
And
sure.
you're sweating. Your body's I always tell them your body is a human filtration system. When you're putting a lot in, you're gonna put a lot out,
Right out is-
and that no, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, And mate, in regards to what you would eat on the day of jaws or competing in big waves, what do you eat and how long before competing do you eat it?
My I have like just a Jaws meal. It's
I imagine
it worked for me the first year of the event round, and I won, and I kept with it. I count my macronutrients throughout the majority of the season here on the North Shore. So it's like a macro number. I have basically certain prescriptions of how much macros I can take in throughout a day, depending on how active I am.
Mhm.
But when we're coming into a JAWS contest, we load about 72 hours out. We start loading with carbs, good carbs, sweet potatoes, fruits, coconut water, just good, clean carbohydrates that are going to last long and burn in the correct ways.
Sure.
And the proteins and fat levels are staying the same. And then when it comes to contest day, I wake up, I normally do a good thing of oatmeal with some fresh berries, some fresh fruit, island fruit, and probably some eggs, eggs and egg whites for some protein and some fat and avocado. And from there, out in the water, I make sprouted Ezekiel bread, just literally almond butter and jelly sandwich, just clean, good, plain almond butter and some clean fruit jelly. That and a tub of it's called poi here. The root is taro, or also known in the Hawaiian name is kalo. It's like a Hawaiian potato, and it's filled with it's kind of like a sweet potato with even more, more nutrition in it. There's so much that comes from that, and it's just something about that we have here. There's a lot of power behind it, and I just feel like my energy levels.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And I always have protein powder, a clean grass-fed protein powder out there, whey, isolate, and just making sure I'm getting protein, but the carbs are always there, and clean carbs, light carbs, nothing that's going to drown me. Just making sure the body doesn't, latch on the muscle. Once you're fatigued in those situations and your body latches on the muscle, that's when cramps, fatigue, everything sets in and your performance just goes down. And I felt that, and that's why I invested my time into making sure I'm burning carbs. I'm not burning
muscle.
Keep your
glycogen levels high.
Exactly.
Before it goes to muscle. That's so important. Marathon runners also.
Exactly.
And mate, so would you eat before you're hungry, but knowing, hey, it's time to eat now, before that muscle effect happens, or you wait for the hunger to set in?
In those days, like during the competition, everything's on timer. Sure. I know when the heats are, in my mind, we strategize to where I'm in the final. If I'm in heat 1 and we look at it, then we look at it, and my team, they make a schedule for me. I got alarms on my phone, and it just goes.
This is incredible.
Yeah, it takes a lot away from what's going on out in the ocean, and it just really makes me focus on what I'm doing for myself. And when I know I'm doing all this for myself, when I get in the water, I can look around and I know, no one's doing what I'm doing.
I was going to ask you if anyone else is doing it. I'm pretty sure no one is.
I know there's people are, they're looking at the nutrition, but what I'm doing and with my people, no one's doing. And I know there's people better than my people, but what I've created for myself, there's no people that are better for me. Right. And that's what I know is I can look around and every person in every corner of my room, there's no team better for myself. Maybe there is for other people, but for me, it's unbeatable in my opinion, and that's why, it gives me so much confidence on these days. It's and that's what a lot of this comes from. It's confidence.
Confidence, sure, incredible, mate. Your injury in Morocco, was that last year?
3 years ago.
3 years ago, wow. Already.
Today's February 26th. Almost 3 years, and in 4 days will be 3 years on the date. Yeah.
That's the worst injury you've suffered?
Yeah.
Because there are multiple injuries, multiple tissues involved.
Yeah, that was something that, look, just a few weeks ago, I was knocked out unconscious out at Pipeline. Had some stitches on my face, concussed to where I couldn't write my name for a few days, and that was weird. It didn't feel right. And my kids, my family seen it. It was more of shocking to my family than it was to me. The Morocco thing was I learned how to dig deep in life.
Sure.
It just kind of opened up a new chapter. That's what created sobriety. It's a lot. A lot was learned, and being in a third world country that far away, as far as this country could be to from Hawaii for me, in northern Africa and Morocco, up in the desert, I broke my pelvis on the right side in half, collapsed my right lung, contused my whole quad and IT band, ACL, MCL, and meniscus all detached, shredded. It was, on top of that, just being knocked out unconscious as well. It was.
Wow, that's right, yes. And mate, I remember when you were telling about your recovery, I was astounded at how surprisingly fast it was. What you mentioned the hyperbaric chamber, was that at Laird and Gabby?
Hyperbaric chambers were introduced to me.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I had one.
Okay.
How it all worked out, and the company had gave me one, lent it to me, and I kept using it. HBOT, the hyperbaric chamber, is a soft chamber, but yeah, I did majority of my treatment and my rehab in California after that
Okay.
injury.
Okay.
Yeah, everything was based in California with Laird and Gabby down at Dr. G's, the Mamba Academy. Hyperbaric chambers, training, a lot of pool work, a lot of, you know, it's the pool, the eccentric movement on your joints from a
Sure.
surfer perspective. There's nothing better for it.
Sure.
When you want to load weight,
Without the effects of gravity.
when you want to throw weight around,
Yeah.
it's so good on your body, your hinges. I look at all these areas as hinges.
Sure.
You need to hinge well, and the pool helps a lot. That was where I really dug deep into nutrition, supplements, and finding out I was coming off not drinking for 6 months. I got hurt. I was like, oh shoot, I'm turning 30 this year. Everything just started to change. That was the big transition of oh wow, I'm being hurt, I'm sidelined. I had no better time to read and really do a lot of research. I was fortunate enough to just meet some incredible people up at Laird and Gabby's, guys like Ben Greenfield and just all different amazing people. I have Matt and Sheree Chan, who are some of the founders of the CrossFit League, and they have been working with me for 7 years on nutrition, and the amount of knowledge they have is it's never ending. And when I got into this situation in Morocco, to maintain muscle and to maintain strength throughout all these surgeries and all the shit I had to go through, nutrition was one of the most powerful tools, for sure. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if we can just realize that nutrition, a lot of people think they can train off a bad diet. Okay, let's start there. You can't. Okay, secondly, you're going to recover from injuries and other, obstacles in life a lot easier if your nutrition's already good. And when those things do happen, if you up it, and I imagine you did IV drips probably as well.
Yeah.
All of that, and even the hyperbaric chamber, it's just infusing oxygen at almost 2 atmospheres. So important to remember those things. Mate, and I guess also a lesson for everybody is that adversity is not something we can avoid in life, and we can't see it as a poor me type thing. It's an opportunity to grow. Look, it's so good to hear your story, mate, and see how you've grown and learned the other side of it, which is already obvious that it's helped you surfing so much, but the tools you'll take with you for the rest of your life in every other aspect as well.
Yeah, adversity will teach you more than any victory in life, and that's how I look at it. Every time you get through adversity, you win, and I've won a lot in my life on that category of life. And when you do find a real victory in life, it's just that much more special. Adversity really is. It's not made from a lot of people. But when you're able to overcome it, I mean, that's the real goal of life. It's about challenging yourself. If you're not challenging yourself, whether it's in your career, in your profession, or in a hobby, or just in your everyday life, you're never going to become better. And I want to see everybody get better. 2 steps back, 1 step forward. Just make sure you got a couple. Just keep pushing, and it's all about some sort of challenge every day. Every day there's got to be a challenge. Your heart rate's got to go up. You got to get up and get moving.
You've got to exert yourself, mate. Wise words. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thanks, mate. So I hope you enjoyed that interview. I learned, as I said before, that I learned so much from it. And it's interesting because we can be the healthiest people ever and still have accidents and still need to apply those rules to our recovery, to any trauma that we go through. It could be emotional sometimes, it could be physical, it could be intoxication from food when we're traveling, whatever it is. The rules come back to the basics, and we always need to come back and be patient, okay, and implement the basics that we know and that we're learning from people like Billy along the whole journey of our lives, so that we trust in our body. Our body knows what to do, okay? Once again, I really admire Billy, and I thank Billy for that interview. I learned a lot from it, and I hope you did too. And stay tuned, because there's a lot more interviews with people and surfers that I admire that are successfully implementing other health, strategies in their lives with obvious results. So if you liked it, please share it and also sign up for my YouTube channel where you'll get this information as it comes out. All the best.